All right. Good morning and welcome to this special call meeting of the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. I'm Rob Pitts. I chair the Board of Commissioners. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Rob Pitts.
Present.
Commissioner Liz Hausman. Commissioner Bob Ellis.
Present.
Commissioner Lee Morris.
Present.
Vice Chair Natalie Hall.
Present.
Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr.
Present.
Commissioner Khadija Abdul-Rahman. Mr. Chairman,
I'm present, Madam Clerk.
so noted. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And would you call the roll for the mayors, please?
City of Alpharetta, Mayor Gilvin.
Present.
City of Atlanta, Mayor Bottoms. Chattahoochee Hills, Mayor Reed. College Park, Mayor Motley Broom. East Point, Mayor Holiday Ingram.
Present.
Fairburn, Mayor Carhurst. Hateville, Mayor Hallman. Johns Creek, Mayor Bodker. Milton, Mayor Lockwood. Mountain Park, Mayor Steele.
Present.
Palmetto, Mayor Bodie.
Present.
Roswell, Mayor Henry.
Present.
Sandy Springs, Mayor Paul.
Present.
South Fulton, Mayor Edwards. Union City, Mayor Williams.
Present.
Good morning. This is Mayor Motley Broom from College Park.
Good morning, Mayor Motley Broom.
Good morning, Mayor Bodker here.
Good morning, Mayor Bodker.
Good morning.
Is that it? All right, I count 9 mayors present. Is that correct? 10. Okay, whatever.
What do you
All
mean,
right.
whatever? We're worth more than whatever, Mr. Chairman.
Especially you, Mayor Bodker.
Thank you. I'm glad to know I'm special.
We will proceed with the agenda as it's printed unless there are some objections. All right, first item then would be a elections update. Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. Good morning, commissioners.
Before we begin,
Yes, sir.
at the end, I'd like to add an F. We need to talk about future meetings, because this is the last meeting for this year and what we do with next year at the end.
Mr. Chair, I wonder if we have any mayor-elects present.
Do not believe so.
Mr. Chairman, I do see Mayor-elect Khalid Kamal.
We do? Okay, thank you, KHA. Because I've been trying to reach him. Okay.
All right, hello everyone. Thank you for my obligatory presence, but thank you so much for acknowledging.
Thank you for joining us. All right, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. Good morning, commissioners and mayors. Happy holidays in advance. There's no formal report on elections today. I think it's from the staff. I think it's safe to say that both the general and the runoff elections went smoothly and really without any hiccups. Visited the warehouse yesterday to thank our staff and observe some of the machines that are already coming back. Of course, we have a lot planned for 2022. Most notably is the acquisition that's been approved by our board of the warehouse that's at the intersection of South Fulton Parkway and 92. I spoke to Mayor Williams yesterday about that site. It's going to be not only a very much an integral part of our overall warehouse operations, it's going to be election central for us. So it will mimic and look more like an office environment as opposed to simply a warehouse. Certainly it will have no 18-wheelers coming and going. That'll be good for the community, but the beneficial nature of having the ability to lay out all of our elections operations and do things in more of a linear fashion as opposed to through multiple locations for things like logic and accuracy testing, as well as just the shipment of the machines and the materials, I think is going to benefit us enormously. So now we're very much focused on getting that done during 22 and in advance of elections. It's going to be very tight, so we'll have to see how that goes and how much we can get done. But that's an enormous investment that the board has approved us making. No one visits sites more than the chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna defer to you on how the observation from the elections.
Okay, well, as usual, I visited as many of the sites as I could. In fact, on Tuesday, I visited 39 of the 100, and I forget what the total number was, but we were all over the county, but primarily focused on the city of Atlanta because of that mayor's race. And I personally did not observe any issues. Talked with the poll managers at the ones that I visited. They reported nothing major, anything out of the ordinary. So I was pleased with what I saw. But there are there's always room for improvement. I also yesterday had a meeting with a group of citizens who routinely come to our BOC meetings and have questions, comments, criticisms of what we're doing. And I took the time to meet with them. The 2 minutes that they have at our meetings is not adequate for them. So I spent about an hour with 6 of them yesterday, getting their concerns down, and asked them to be very specific and give me some recommendations as to what we could look at as far as making improvements going forward. I'm waiting for that. But the one thing that they did say, they talked about the desire for us to involve the mayors more in site selection of where the polling places are within the respective cities, as well as working with the mayors and maybe even putting the burden of proof on the mayors with respect to recruiting volunteers from their cities to work the poll. So just 2 things to think about. And once I receive their recommendations, I'll pass them on to each of you, as well as to the Board of Registration and Elections.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I appreciate the feedback you gave as relates to the mayor. Certainly, I think we can be very helpful working with our councils and our clerks to help find the most central locations if there's only going to be 1 or 2 locations within a city. I also think that we can do a much better job coordinating our communications team well in advance of when you need the volunteers and poll workers. I know Johns Creek has also helped with training in the past and things like that. So I think there's lots that we can do, and I look forward to Mayor-elect Bradbury stepping in and helping with that in the future on our behalf.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bodker. Who's up? Mayor Motley Broom.
Thank you. When you say recruiting people to work the polls, would those people be working in our cities? People who live in our cities working the polls in our cities?
That's what they conveyed to me, but when I get it in writing, I'll be able to respond more definitively to your question.
Okay, thank you.
But one thing you should be aware of, Mr. Chairman, is that in the past, what's happened is we, the mayors, have gotten complaints where citizens have volunteered with the intent of working locally within the city and have actually been sent to other areas of the county based on statements that the need was greater in other areas. So, when and if that time comes, please, let's try to put some rules in place so that if folks can have proper expectations set up front.
Thank you, Mayor Bodker. Other comments? All right, Mr. Manager.
The next subject that the agenda committee placed before us was T-Splosh. Where do we go from here? We have a brief review from our Public Works Director, David Clark, on some of the voting patterns. And by the way, which were all more positive, which is a real credit to the cities in terms of the public perception of the projects and the performance with the last T-Splosh. So I think we'll review that quickly, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
and then if there are any elected officials that want to initiate the discussion of where do we go from here, that would be appreciated. So David Clark, he had to join remotely today.
Yes, this is David Clark. I assume you can hear me, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, David.
You have the floor, Mr. Clark.
Just real quick, as Dick was saying, all of the cities gave us a positive vote in 2021 for T-SPOST. Even the two cities that did not vote in favor of it in 2016 were in favor of it this time. Overall, we had 61% of all the votes in favor of the T-SPOST, as well as, more importantly, the South Fulton area had the greatest increase in support compared to the North area. And in talking to the various directors of public works in South Fulton and looking at the T-SPOST from 2016 projects, it really looks like the citizens are really responding well to maintenance related activities. More maintenance was done with T-SPOST money down in South Fulton than North Fulton. And I think that's why you see such a strong support of voters in the South Fulton area. So we'll certainly be talking to the public works directors about trying to use more T-SPOST towards maintenance to continue the favorable outcome of the program. Speaking of the 2021 program, I am meeting with all of the city's public works directors on December 14th to talk about the closeout of the 2016 program and the startup of the 2021 program. We have hired a firm called Goodwin, Mills, and Kaywood, or GMC, to help us administer the county side of the T-SPOST program management. They started a couple of years ago, and we just recently renewed their contract through the 2021 program. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll certainly be open to any questions if any of the cities have any.
Clark? Any questions? None?
Mr. Chairman and Mayor Bodie here, I'll just make one comment. See, I might have passed it by one vote. I haven't decided yet whether we're going to ask for a recount or not.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question, and I believe there's a citizen committee or a committee of people for T-SPOST, and I wonder if it's time for renewal of those appointments, or do they just continue?
They'll have to be renewed.
So what are our steps towards that when we talk about next steps and moving forward, as well as the county's position around next step as we move forward? I know that's one that I have. You said open it up with elected officials, so that committee, but then from the county's perspective, what are next steps as well?
And Mr. Mayor, this is David. We were planning on addressing that with the directors at the December 14th meeting. As Mayor Bochter said, that Oversight Council does need to continue for the 2021 program. And you could either keep the same citizen that's represent your city or bring a new one on the council if that's what you decide. But I'll walk through the process of how each city should do that with the directors on the 14th.
It would be very helpful if you could also, whatever you're sharing with the directors as we move forward. I think my expectation of the conversation today would be the high level of what it looks like moving forward for the county and even what would be shared with the directors. And so I can understand if you'd rather wait to the meeting on the 14th, but I would like for that information for sure to be shared with me as the mayor. And I'm sure others may want that as well, but I'm anticipating from the county, since this SPOST is administered through the county, down to the cities, some indication of what next steps from the county perspective will be. So we'll know as cities what our next steps should be and the timing of those and the expectations of the county.
Of course, Mayor, I'll do that.
Mayor Gilvin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a question that occurred to me the other day. I know the original legislation that authorized T-SPOST had called for the renewal vote after a 5-year period. Does that continue every 5 years, or does there have to be more legislation beyond this renewal?
The way that I understand it, Mayor, is you still have to do a vote every 5 years, but there's no new General Assembly legislation that needs to occur.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure. I was afraid that maybe they only authorized it for the first two, and we might have to go back to the legislature after that. But I just wanted to make sure we weren't anticipating another renewal in 5 years, and that not being something was automatically anticipated.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Arrington?
Yes, I'm following up on our Mayor Deanna Holiday Ingram's question. What are the terms? There has to be a term outlined somewhere. And I don't know that providing the information to the appointees does any good. The information needs to be provided to the appointing authorities. You know, we got new mayors, there may be new appointees. I guess it depends on what the appointment process was. So I guess my question would be, what is the appointment process? Is it just the mayors that appoint, or is it the mayor and city councils that appoint? And then what are the terms of the current members, and when do they expire?
Commissioner, from what I understand and what I recall is the mayor and council for each city appointed their own citizen advisory member. And that term was for the full 5 years of the program.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner, continue.
No, I'm fine. I guess if there's more information, or if you could provide the information to the appointing authorities prior to that meeting on the 14th, that would be great.
And that is my plan.
Mr. Chairman?
And the county attorney is looking at it as we speak. Is that Mayor Bodker?
Yes. So please remember the current T-SPLOS is actually not done yet. I believe it goes through April of next year, if I remember correctly, David.
That's correct.
March
So
31st, yes.
What we need to be lined up for is the cities all need to be responsible for appointing their individual or reappointing their individual citizen members. Obviously, that means the mayor-elects who are coming in will have their opportunity, given that they'll be participating in their councils next year. And I believe the way the legislation was written, Fulton County also had a member, if I remember correctly.
No, we do not have a member. We had
Okay,
a
so it
member
was just the
initially.
cities.
We had a member initially for the transition period when the city of South Fulton came into being, but we do not have a member as part of the 21 program.
Okay, so obviously all the cities need to get their member names over to you with their resolutions that appoints them before April's expired.
We doing her research and then getting with Mr. Clark, and then we will communicate with each mayor. All right, anything else on this item? Anything else? Now, Mr. Manager.
The next agenda item is ambulance service subsidies. So I'll have to defer to the agenda committee on in what context do we need to discuss this. And it may be potentially that this is best reserved for when this group gets together to begin discussions on service delivery and loss, both of which need to be revisited, but I'll defer to the committee.
All right, what was the intent, agenda committee?
Is Mayor Holiday Ingram on the call?
Yes, I'm here. And there were some concerns from mayors in South Fulton regarding the ambulance service delivery, kind of just where we are with that, not waiting until later, but getting updates around where we are with the delivery of services around ambulance, and some concerns that were shared. And I think Mayor Bodie, did that come from you? I know Mayor Carr-Hurst isn't here this morning.
Well, here again, it gets back to the same situation of response time and units that are available on the south side of Fulton County here. And of course, I don't have the answer to it. I just needed, and we all needed to discuss this and see if we could come up with a solution to the problem. We know exactly what the problem is, but I don't know if we all know what the solution is, unless it's just one word, and that's money, I suspect.
Yeah, and there was our next steps in dealing with Grady services to each city and possible subsidy.
Well, and then also the only other thing that we discussed at the mayor's and fire chiefs meeting was the situation on the state law in these regions and how these providers were selected. I don't think anyone's happy about that. Virtually none of the cities has any input whatsoever into it. So as a second phase of this, we possibly look into some type of legislation to give the cities more authority on selecting the provider for this end of the county.
Commissioner Abdul Rahman.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to echo what Mayor Bodker and Mayor Holiday Ingram. We really do need to find a solution. There's not enough units. There are issues with the response time. It is an issue that I have been actually watching in the area of the mayors that I represent. And so I do have firsthand knowledge on the time, the disparity, and the lack of units. And as we close out 2021, personally, Mayor Barker, I think that we have had quite a bit of discussion around it. I think the more this discussion needs to be around solution. And I support you in that, but I just want to go on record saying that I am well aware of this. I have documented the issue and how it affects my mayors, and I am in full support of what we need to do for a solution because it is a problem. Thank you.
Commissioner, anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if I would, only comment I've got is I've been monitoring this since 1977. It's not got any better.
So,
Mayors, if I can make a suggestion, because we had this problem across the county. We've stabilized the North County a bit, but we run into the similar problems. I'd suggest that all of our fire chiefs get together and push the district council with the threat of potentially opening up the zone. Generally, when that happens, good discussions happen between the current providers, because there are multiple providers in the county and the cities. And that will sort of open up the discussion, but really the district council for EMS is the place to start this, and through our fire chiefs is probably the most effective way.
great suggestion, Mayor Barker. Mr. Manager, you want to?
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. And then again, as this group prepares for entering some discussions on service delivery and lost and other things of that matter, probably ties this item in as well.
So this could be a larger discussion item at a future meeting, but it needs to be addressed. And I think Mayor Bodie is right. Any other comments on this one?
Hey, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Just one other comment on it. I mean, going back to the EMS Council, we did recently make and get representation, right, from all parts of the county with a specific fire chief from really all three parts of the county, correct? And that's just went into place.
Yes.
So, I mean, that, to Mayor Bacher's point about those parties really being a collective voice on that, I think that's probably the best place for it to start.
Anyone else? All right, continue, Mr. Manager.
All right, the next subject is COVID-19 response update. I'll give you some brief headlines, and then Doug Schuster from EMSI, our consulting firm, will walk through some of the numbers that you've been sent. Fundamentally, the trends have turned back slightly negative, both cases being up now at 102 are up 25%, positivity rate at 3.5, up 25%, hospitalizations and deaths, though, remain plateaued. Fulton County's in a moderate transmission category defined by the CDC. So that's consistent with a position that we took a week ago of recommending masks, but not requiring them in our facilities. The focus remains, of course, on vaccinations, specifically now with the new variant. We've administered through our own sites over 530,000 vaccines with the same 4 mobile and 4 fixed site approach. We've also been offering $100 incentives and plan to continue to do that. We're looking to move away from cards into an electronic mechanism that will allow us to do that more aggressively when we're in a mobile format. We do have 637,000 citizens who have been vaccinated, which represents 62% of the population. That is better than the state averages. 780 plus or so of those are now 5 to 11-year-olds. And of course, now the boosters have been recommended for all adults. All of those efforts, by the way, have resulted in a death rate that is about 50% less than what the per capita average would indicate, and a number of cases, it's about 20% less. And from where we started, where we had more of both on a per capita basis, it's significantly improved. So all of our efforts together have benefited citizens significantly. We're reviewing changes for both the mobile and fixed approaches as well as incentives. We had a great review yesterday with an outside firm that has helped us specifically with communications efforts to underserved communities. Jessica Corbett is here this morning to comment on that. But I think all of the above will be on the table as we move into 2022, attempting to optimize the response. In terms of our own employees, we're still green on our reopening indicators. We've now reopened more fully, or are in plans of reopening more fully, both our senior centers and our libraries. So you'll see that in your communities. Even though we're still cautious, all of the traditional services will be available. The significant news in our COVID response, and Anna Roach is here this morning to speak to that, is in the rental assistance program. We have fully distributed all of our ERAP funds. I think no doubt that's the first in Georgia, but one of the first in the nation to be able to do so. The good news is we have very positive signals from the governor's office as well as from DCA on a reallocation of $25 million in ERAP funds from their overall program to us by the end of the year. In the interim, our board approved this week the use of $4 million in ARPA funds in order to bridge from today through the end of December, in order that, or to accommodate citizens continuing to be able to apply, and specifically when we have anything that is in the magistrate court that might result in someone being evicted, we want to be in the position to help with that. So that's again a very positive story. And again, I think this reallocation, if approved both by the state, which we have all indications that they have approved it, but then by the feds by the end of December, will be very, very noteworthy for Fulton County and our citizens. And then last, just on the use of the overall funds, we have been quite aggressive in administering these funds. We have about 94 million that have already been expended out of 313 million. And remember, this is a 4-year program. So we've been ahead of the curve in terms of that, and still maintain a $31 million reserve, which is about 10%, I think, where we want to be, given that we don't know what we don't know at this point. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask Doug Schuster from EMSI to highlight quickly some of the stats, again, that the mayors have been sent and the board saw this week that are in this presentation, and then we'll answer any questions. So, Doug, if you're on, please take these slides for us.
Okay. So we'll start. Generally, I like to do kind of a health check and really what these heat maps are. And you can see on November 15th as opposed to December 1st. Most notably, Atlanta does look a little bit better. The lighter color, the better. Just real quickly about the United States. 2 weeks ago, the United States was seeing kind of the last places in the country to see surges of Delta in the Northeast and Great Lakes states. But overall, if you can see, much lighter colors on December 1st. That being said, it looks like we're in a very kind of bottoming out, stagnant phase of our numbers. And I'll show you that on the next slides. Next slide. kind of a comparative look. We have cases by month in Fulton County and deaths by month. And death is a lagging indicator. So if you see August and September, high caseload, September, October, deaths contributed to COVID. And so those numbers have started to trend downward on a monthly basis. Next slide. The CDC has mask guidance. At the time of this presentation 2 days ago, we were in the yellow category for cases, and we're in the orange category today, which means we're in substantial transmission, just barely. We've been in and out between yellow and orange for a while, and we'll continue to see that trend. So please err on the side of caution. If you're indoors with a large group of people, we highly, highly recommend the use of masks, as it does help not only with COVID, but the spread of flu, because we're going to be on borderline for the CDC recommendation for quite some time this winter. Next slide. It's a little bit of a look at the cities on the percent change. Some are up, some are down. The county, like I said, has pretty much hit the bottom of this current wave going down, and we expect to be there for a little bit of time now. Next slide. The trends right here, 7-day averages are important. Cases are up slightly. Percent positives are up slightly. Hospitalizations are really about the same, but our deaths, because it's a lagging indicator from the summer, our deaths are really going down, and that's great news. And we hope to see that number stay low. Next slide. The scorecard, you see a lot of green and yellow in here, just to point out that you know, there are still people dying. We still have people in the morgue. There are still patients in the hospital. And while it's not as bad as it was this summer, COVID is still present in our community. Next slide. And we have done 531,000 first and second doses through Fulton County and the Board of Health efforts. Over 40,000 doses have been administered by our mobile units. We are continuing to give incentives through Saturday, tomorrow, for first and second doses at all of our fixed locations. You must be a Fulton County resident. And one big thing I want to bring up is prior to this week, boosters were recommended for 55 and older. The CDC has changed that, partially in preparation for any variant, but now boosters are recommended for anybody 18 and over. Also, Pfizer is looking for approval for booster doses for 16 and 17-year-olds. That should come out today. And data on the effectiveness of the variant of the vaccines is 2 to 3 weeks away from both Pfizer and Moderna. So we don't have a lot of data on that, but they're saying as we get closer to Christmas, we'll have a good idea about how our vaccines work against this new variant. Next slide. Dick talked about the number of people in the county that have gotten vaccinated, 62%. Really, when you account for those eligible, that number is a little bit higher. And so we have really 60% of those eligible that have been vaccinated. Next slide. Weekly, we keep track of our totals on vaccines. Last week, we were only open 2 days because of Thanksgiving, but our sites have been sold out for the most part for about the last 5 days, with people getting boosters and taking advantage of the incentives. And we've also given over 1,000 first doses to 5 to 11-year-olds at our sites. Next slide. Just bring a little bit of attention here to what our mobile units have been doing since we really started focusing on vaccine equity. If you look at the chart on the top right, we're over 80% people of color and neighborhoods of vaccine hesitancy and vaccine deserts. And so we're pretty proud of the efforts of our mobile units to kind of get in and hit the mark on those areas. Next slide. So really the path forward is what I want to talk about here is we are, like Dick said, looking to see what we're going to look like starting in 2023. And a big effort is trying, now that we know more about how to message and what works around the country, we're going to be kind of redoubling our efforts to get messaging out to the people that really need to hear it. And I'm going to pivot to Jessica and let her talk a little bit about that effort.
Thank you very much, Doug. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Happy holidays. One of the things we have done, and Doug has talked about this throughout the presentation, is really focused outreach in communities of color within Fulton County. And this is to assist us in closing the health equity gap. All of you are familiar with the demographics of Fulton County and know that our African American and white populations are almost identical. But today, as looking at the Georgia vaccine dashboard, 60% of white residents in Fulton County have been vaccinated, but only 43% of African American residents have been vaccinated. So that gap has been persistent since the beginning of vaccination efforts. So I am going to ask if I can quickly share my screen to pull up our Alive and in Color website to show this to all of you. This is a site that we created with a group called the Black Cross. They're an agency really focused on health equity communications and outreach. And the website is aliveandincolor.com. I just wanted to very quickly walk you through one part of this page. When you go to the homepage, you'll see a lot of information. This has grown from Fulton County's campaign into a campaign that is really being embraced across the state of Georgia. But we were the founding partner and are really excited about it. So if you see here at the top of the page, the Care and Resources tab, as you go through this, there are a lot of different resources you can kind of filter through, but I wanted to scroll down and share with you these conversation guides. So as you and stakeholders in your community, whether as pastors or nonprofit leaders or small businesses, want to have conversations about vaccine hesitancy, the marketing effort, so to speak, has really moved beyond a transactional kind of conversation where I say, this vaccine is available, here's where you go, here's when you can come. Many people are, what we are finding now, that people who have not chosen to be vaccinated at this point, that information alone is not enough to result in them choosing to be vaccinated. It has to be a conversation. There has to be a no judgment conversation and educational opportunity, because people do have lots of reasonable questions and reasonable doubts. And so we have to have, grown-up conversations to help people hopefully come to the conclusion that vaccination is safe, effective, and saves lives. So we just wanted to kind of show this to you, encourage you to use these resources, which we have invested in. There is a video library as well. So if you want to simply show some of the sessions and some of the information, all of this is here for you. And we encourage you to take advantage of it. And I'll be glad to send this out to you as well after the meeting. Now I'll ask Rico to bring the slides back up. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Go ahead, Doug.
Next slide, I think that might be it. I'm open for questions.
All right, ready for questions. Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't really have a question. I really wanted to applaud the county on all of its efforts as it relates to vaccines and boosters and even ongoing testing. All of those components are going to be extremely critical that we continue to move those and address those. And I do want to applaud Doug for his work and what he's doing, but also Jessica and the team for their marketing and communication efforts, because, you know, reaching those communities that have a strong disconnect, and those other communities, our communities of color, it's going to be very important, especially with the variants that are raising their heads up, as we all see today. But I do want to also make certain, you know, that the mayors are included and informed of any upcoming preventative initiatives as it relates to the COVID trends. And again, I cannot stress enough the importance of thanking Fulton County and Jessica and the marketing team for all of their efforts, because this Alive and in Color, that is exactly what we need right now when we talk about the disconnect of vaccine disparity or just disconnect. So we want to make sure that we are reaching those individuals who need to know that the vaccines are safe, that the boosters are safe, because what we want to do is save lives. And certainly, I just want to applaud each of you for your leadership, but also I want to make sure that I did give credit to Doug and certainly Jessica, who has been absolutely amazing with what she and her team has done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Motley Broom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will echo the sentiments of Mayor Williams. We have a senior summit coming up at Camp Truett next week from 2 to 5 on December 8th. And 48 hours ago, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could get a mobile vaccination unit there? And reached out to Commissioner Abdul Rahman's office, and it is happening. And so I just want to thank the county for all of their efforts, even as we move forward into this period of uncertainty with this new variant, that we are able to get the resources we need in this fight against COVID-19. And even as things changed and shift, Fulton County has been a real partner in this. And I think we're seeing those results, and we'll keep on working. And as long as we keep these lines of communication open and let us know when these mobile units are around, we can push out the information as well. I think it's been a real testament to what happens when we can all work together.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner Ellis.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, this is really probably a question for Doug. Certainly, you know, we've had a heightened effort around this stuff in terms of the vax, but the number of dosages have sort of been steady in terms of kind of most recent weeks. And one surprise to me is there's not been a larger pickup related to boosters. And my question on boosters really is, I do think a lot of people are getting boosters that we aren't capturing, that they're going to other providers and getting it where they didn't have the option to do it before. But is the state or the booster shots being sort of uploaded and tracked in the same fashion that first and second doses were, or are they more just, they happen and, you know, we may have a record of them, we may not have a record of them?
That's a great question, Commissioner Ellis. I obviously track the boosters separately for us because it's apples and oranges almost. And we asked the state 6 weeks ago, and they are trying to gather the information, and it will make it to the dashboard eventually. And so it is being tracked because you have to report vaccinations, but how they incorporate it into the dashboard, I think they got delayed by the holiday a bit, but it is important to track them separately. And like I said, since the CDC changed their guidance from recommended to 18 and older, we've seen a definite pickup in boosters in the last week at our fixed locations. And we continue to track it, at least for Fulton County. We'll know what those numbers are at our sites. But hopefully you'll see it soon on the state dashboard.
Okay. And then my second remark was, I guess it goes back quite a ways, but when, you know, we've been discussing this at our level, one of the things that I said to our team was that as we thought about sort of doing the work around encouraging vaccination amongst our citizens, if we couldn't figure out how to do it effectively with our own employees, then good luck getting it done with our citizens. And I think we've done both fairly effectively, and we have through a variety of efforts, kind of done that encouragement with our employees, but we're also tracking it and monitoring it. And you said a pretty strong level, probably still some room for it to get there, get it even better. But I was interested to know from any of the mayors whether you are tracking vaccinations of your own employee bases, because I do think, that statement holds true for all of us. If we want to be advocates and we can't get it done with our own, in our own house, then it's going to be, we're probably not going to be successful doing it with our citizens. So I'd be curious of opening that question up to the mayors.
Mr. Chairman, can we answer now? I know this is sort of out of turn because Mayor Bodie has his hand up.
Mayor Bodie? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Listen.
I would be remiss if I didn't.
Mayor Bodie.
Help.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, I'm sorry. Somebody else was talking and I was picking up them. Just an update, and of course Doug's numbers were great and everything's very impressive. But just to remind everybody, the city still operates a vaccination and a testing center at 595 Main Street, which is our community center. We've been doing this for several months now.
I guess.
And
hearing if it's on the regular agenda, right?
And we're averaging around 30 vaccinations a day. And
we had a public hearing.
Matter of fact, this past Tuesday, we actually vaccinated 70 people at the site. That'd been operating Tuesday through Friday from 8 till noon. But starting next week,
Mayor Paul, can you mute?
We'll go from 8 to 5. And I just want to bring that up. Anybody traveling through Palmetto on Main Street, which is Highway 29, they see the signage. All they got to do is pull into the parking lot and go in and get their vaccination. And at that site, we are still doing testing with our community development block grant money through Fulton County. So both are available to anybody and everybody. And the good news for now is that it's on the MARTA line. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Paul? Mayor Paul?
Yeah, I think the question was, are the cities tracking their participation in the in vaccine among their own employees? And we are. We've added incentives. We had, early on we had some resistance, but we've added incentives, and we have significantly increased the number of people who are vaccinated in Sandy Springs among our own workforce. Are we at 100%? No, but we have had about a 20% increase in vaccinations, and we're well over 50% now by offering some incentives to employees to get vaccinated. But we are tracking.
Mayor Williams?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to comment on that. Yes, we are tracking. We are not at 100%, but certainly moving towards that. One of the things that was quite startling for me is the amount of our public safety personnel individuals who were not entertaining vaccines. So that's a concern, not only for my city, but all cities, because I was speaking to some friends across the country who are having that same challenge. I don't know what we can do about that other than to continue to share the information, but also moving towards mandatory testing if you choose not to be vaccinated.
All right, Mayor Motley Broom?
We are tracking in College Park. All new hires have to be vaccinated, and we are sharing. We have some of the same issues in College Park that Mayor Williams alluded to in regard to the hesitancy of our public safety professionals in getting vaccinated. But we've had strong response from our employees across the city. I'm curious, Mayor Paul said that they were offering incentives. I'd love to hear what those incentives are in Sandy Springs, because maybe we can adopt some of those in College Park, because we can always learn from each other.
Yeah, we're offering gift cards, cash incentives up to $100 in some cases. So it has had a significant impact on our ability to persuade our folks to take the jab.
Fantastic. Thank you.
If you all could advance to the next two slides, I just want to get to the opportunities in the next coming up. I just wanted to show you a couple things. Could you advance one slide, please? As we're working for it, we have found that offering evening hours, especially with pediatrics that might need vaccine. So for the next 2 weeks, we'll be offering evening hours, 1 day a week at each of our fixed locations. It is in your packet that was sent to you if they can't advance the slides. Bottom right-hand part, there you go. So there it is. On the 7th and 14th, we'll be at North Point from 3:30 to 8:30. On the 8th and 15th, we'll be at Aviation Cultural Center. 9th and 16th at Fulton County Service Center. It's a great opportunity for people that work different shifts or to bring their children in after school. Wanted to show that. And then the next slide will show you our mobile opportunities for the rest of this weekend. And we continue to, like we said, maximize our efforts using, as you can see, churches, Fairborn Municipal Court, SEC Championship game, Impact Church. There are just a few left this weekend. So just wanted to share that with you, and it is in your packet, and we will continue to share this information with the mayors. That's all I got. I'm sorry, I wanted to show those two slides.
Okay, Mayor Williams.
I didn't have another comment, sir. I was late taking my hand down. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Any other questions or comments? Any further questions or comments? If not, Mr. Manager, access Ms. Roach.
Yes,
Thank
quick.
you.
We would ask our Chief Operating Officer, Anna Roach, to again expand on the good news that I shared relative to the emergency rental and mortgage assistance.
Slide 27, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, as well as the mayors of our great county. My name is Anna Roach. I'm the county's Chief Operating Officer, and just echoing what the county manager summarized in his opening remarks, we have a really good news story as it relates to the county's responsibility for the expenditure of emergency rental assistance funds. And we make the summary statement that we've expended or fully expended the ERA funds that we have. To put that in context, particularly for our mayors, because we discussed this with the board on Wednesday, the majority of jurisdictions have not even requested or have access yet to their ERA2 funds. And Fulton County, through the good work of the folks in our community development department, as well as the Deputy COO, Pamela Rochelle, we have accessed and expended the funds in both ERA1 as well as ERA2. So we're very proud. However, somewhat of a victim of our own success, that has resulted in a period of time that we're in now where we don't have access to funds while we anticipate additional funding coming from the federal government through the state. And so the Board of Commissioners on Wednesday gave us permission to reallocate funds that we had previously allocated through our local fiscal recovery funds as bridge funding while we await confirmation of the $25 million in reallocation from Treasury through the state. And so that is good news. The $4 million will give us an opportunity to continue the program and not necessitate suspending the program while we await additional funds. And once we get it or get confirmation of the 25 million, our CFO will be able to set that up as an award. So even if we don't have the 25 million in the bank, we can expend county funds with full anticipation for reimbursement. So proud is not even the word of the work that we've done in this regard. Not so much in terms of the achievement itself, but the fact that for Fulton County residents outside of the city of Atlanta, we have been able to meet the needs on an expedited basis. At the height of our program, we were making daily rental assistance program, daily emergency rental assistance payments of up to $500,000 a day. So very aggressively expending these funds to assist county residents. And we're again proud of the results that we achieved in this area. I have had conversations, regional conversations with other jurisdictions that received direct funding from Treasury, and there is no other jurisdiction in the state that has performed at the level that Fulton County has performed, and many of them have requested our insight and assistance, as well as adopted our model for expending the funds as well. So again, proud of the work that we've done here. Next slide, please. This slide somewhat speaks for itself. We are in continued communication with the state DCA commissioner on mortgage assistance. As we have reported to you previously, Georgia is entitled to $354 million to administer a statewide mortgage assistance program. They have submitted their spend proposal to Treasury, and Treasury is in the process of approving spend proposals across the country. They have not yet approved Georgia's spend proposal, but when they do, Georgia will begin to administer this program at the state level. We have offered assistance to the state in supporting their pleas to Treasury to expedite the approval of their spend proposal. But again, although they expect that approval any given day now, we cannot report as of this morning that we have received approval. So, Mr. Chairman, that was all I had in the way of both mortgage and emergency rental assistance updates. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Are there questions? Mayor Motley Broom?
Just one question for Ms. Roach in regard to what we're seeing on the magistrate court side in terms of evictions. How is that process going? And I heard earlier that we're trying to work in conjunction to help people with rental assistance at that point. But what are we seeing on that side since the moratoriums have been lifted?
Yeah, part of the success that we've had as a county is our aggressive partnership with the magistrate court. And we have a model that I haven't seen replicated here in the state. I'm not sure if it's been done in the country. But what we did was we took emergency rental assistance resources and co-located them in magistrate court. So as those dispositionary hearings were coming forward to judges, there were individuals available to assist with applications to determine eligibility on the spot, and that program continues. In fact, that was the most significant business case for us petitioning the Board of Commissioners for the bridge funding, because we did not want to suspend the work that we are doing, in particular in magistrate court, because those are your most at-risk renters who are at the brink of eviction. So thank you for that question, Mayor Motley Broom. We have done that program. We are continuing it, and the $4 million awarded by the Board of Commissioners will allow us not to have to suspend that program.
Anything else at this point, Mayor Broom, Motley Broom?
No, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Abdul Rahman.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Roach, you said that at any day you all may receive word of the approval. Let's say that the approval came next week.
Yes.
What would be a guesstimate? And I know that you could not give me a definite because we haven't got the money, but just speaking in generalities, how long would it take once the approval to come through for that to start getting in place? Because I'm assuming from your comments that basically what we're waiting on is the approval of it in order for the disbursement. At least that's my understanding. If that's not correct, please correct me if that's not correct. But I'm just curious as to if the Treasury approval was to supposedly come through on Monday or Tuesday of next week, what kind of possible turnaround could we be looking at for that to get up and running?
Thank you, Commissioner Abdul-Rahman, for that question. I know that this has been an area of passion and deep concern based on your policies, your policy proposals. So I appreciate that question. And I have been in communication with the DCA commissioners specifically about that. What I have been told by Commissioner Nunn is that the state of Georgia is ready on day one to implement these funds. And that is because they are using the infrastructure that they had in place for mortgage assistance previously. And so they had received disaster funding to disperse with a model for mortgage assistance. So this is not new to them, unlike rental assistance, which came with a specific set of criteria and guidelines from Treasury that we all had to figure out back in February when it was awarded to us. Mortgage assistance is slightly different. We have done this program previously, and they would use the same infrastructure. The guidelines are also similar, and so they have everything in place to begin execution of those funds immediately upon approval from Treasury. That's what's been communicated to us. So thank you for that question.
Okay, so the framework basically is there. It's just a matter of getting the approval.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Arrington.
I just wanted to add that the state said that HOA and condo fees will also be allowed or accepted under that mortgage assistance program. Just make sure everyone is aware of that.
That's very helpful, Commissioner. I hadn't heard that. So thank you for sharing that information. That is very helpful.
Anyone else at this time? Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Manager, we're at the end, although I did suggest early on that we add an F, and that would be to talk about future meetings. But I think that our next meeting is scheduled for February 7th. January 7th. And so let's hold that discussion until new mayors are in place, and we can have an informed discussion at that time on future meetings. Anything else to come before us today? Well, let me add one other thing. Most of you probably know that one of our members, Mayor Williams, is now the national president, I guess would be the best way to put it, of the National League of Cities. So Mayor Williams, you continue to make us proud of you. So congratulations again. And I'm assuming that everyone was aware of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the acknowledgement, and certainly will continue to do my best to make sure that spotlight is shined not only on Georgia, but certainly on Fulton County. Thank you.
Chairman.
Mayor Barker, you have the floor, sir.
First, I'd like to congratulate America's mayor, Mayor Williams. Congratulations on your ascension to president. You do make us proud. I want to take a second and thank Mayor Bottoms, Mayor Carhurst, Mayor Edwards, Mayor Lockwood, and Mayor Henry for your service. We certainly have enjoyed working with all of you. You've been wonderful mayors. I want to welcome Mayor-elect Dickens, Mayor-elect Avery, Mayor-elect, and I apologize, is it Kamau? Bradbury, Jameson, and Wilson in Atlanta, Fairburn, South Fulton, Johns Creek, Milton, and Roswell. I'll enjoy from afar working with our new mayor-elects. I also want to say thank you to the commissioners. This is my last official meeting as mayor working with you all, but it will not be my last work with you all as I continue on in the Development Authority of Fulton County. I certainly appreciate that effort. And I want to say thank you to all of my mayors. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to work with you, to serve in leadership on your behalf. I'm not going anywhere. If you need any help, I guess I leave as one of the senior mayors. And I just want to say thank you for a wonderful opportunity to work with the mayors and the commissioners and the staff of Fulton County. Dick, you and your team have done an incredible job, and it's been an absolute honor to work with you.
Mayor Bodker, I can say personally that I'm sure I'm speaking for most of us, that you have been an inspiration. You're always very direct in your comments, very thoughtful, but you don't pull any punches. And I think that's needed a lot more than we get that today. This is, well, I guess we're in this time when everything is, you got to be politically correct on everything you say or do, but you have always been very direct, and I have personally appreciated that. Commissioner Abdul Rahman.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to take this time just to also put a little shine on Mayor Vince Williams, of course, one of my mayors. So, you know, the South, we always rise. But at any rate, I had to put that in there. I'm very proud of him. I also want to take this time to just echo the sentiments of Mayor Barker, Mayor Dinkins, Mayor-elect Avery, as well as Kamal. I look forward, but I would be remiss if I didn't say I appreciate the work that Mayor Bill Edwards has done, he has done for the city of South Fulton. And if I do not get to see him again publicly before the new year, I just want to go on record saying that I really appreciate all the work that he has done, all the work that Carl Hurst has done, and all the work Barker, you know, the thing is, we're friends, and I appreciate that, and not only appreciate, I treasure that friendship that we have. And so I know that even though I will not see you in the role of mayor anymore, I know that you will continue to make the contributions to Fulton County. And I just want to say that I appreciate where we are, and I appreciate what you have done, and I appreciate where we are in what we collectively believe that is best for Fulton County and this area of the mayor's meeting, and having the opportunity to get to know all these mayors, even the ones that I don't represent, has been a very valuable tool. And I thank Commissioner Liz Houseman for her leadership with that and with the mayor's meeting. Just wanted to say that I appreciate all of the work, all the outgoing mayors, what they've done, and the incoming mayors. I am very excited to work with you all. And other than that, I just want to say happy holidays.
All right, anyone else, any other comments at this time? If not, then without objection, that will conclude this special meeting. However, what I would ask is that my commissioners stay on the line, and hopefully you'll be alone. I'd like to talk with, if you can, everybody else can be dismissed. So the meeting is officially adjourned, but I would like to talk to the Board of Commissioners. Now, how do we do that?
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone. I'll see all of you before Christmas. Take care. God bless. I love you. There ain't nothing you can do about it.
Happy holidays.
Are dismissed. But I need the commissioner. We're still in the meeting. I just need to make our commissioners here.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make you aware that the meeting is still being broadcast.
Right, I understand.
Okay.
Can you break us off into a
yes,
breakout?
Yes, sir.
Do we have to move to go in executive session?
Yeah, I was gonna say point of order.
I believe.
Oh, y'all are getting ahead of me. All right.
The county attorney will ask the county attorney to.
Okay. And we got 4 presiding officers now, so anybody else? Are the mayors? All right. Session to discuss matters of real estate, litigation, and personnel at this time. Is there a motion?
Second.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. We're in executive session now. Let's make sure.
We're still showing that we're recording.